Terence Carvalho.
Adam Franklin.
Got a sec?
Absolutely.
Look at that. Look at that. Perfect. It wasn't rehearsed or anything, man. How are you, mate? How's life? What's going on?
Oh, I'm good. I'm a little bit cooler. Usually the office gets really hot, but we've had some rain today, so it's cooled down slightly. It's bearable in the office today. So yeah, I'm comfortable today. How about you?
Yeah, sweet, mate. Yeah, all good, man. All good. Same as that. It's still about 5 degrees too hot for me, but I'm not the world's most slender or healthy of men. So, yeah, my diet and nutrition and exercise or lack of doesn't help me with any sort of heat. Anything above 15, I'm like, just get me out of here, man. But yeah, I
So
can't
I'm
wait
the
to get back
opposite.
into it. What's that, mate?
I'm the opposite. So in the winter, I'm depressed. Like I can't do
Oh,
it. So like it's in about a month's time, I don't want to see people. I don't want to go outside. I can't stand waking up and it's pitch black and then going home and it's just darkness. I don't. Yeah, no, not for me.
yeah, playing. That's where I like it. So we are complete opposites. Like I can't wait for it to be a bit dreary. I'm such a miserable git on that front. But mate, thank you for jumping on, man. I appreciate it. I don't know if you've seen any other sessions yet, but I'll basically start off with a bit of a stupid question to get us relaxed in, and then we'll get on to the crux of it. So
Yep.
yours I've come up with. I've seen you recently dotted about Pompey at food vans and festivals where there's food. So I'm going to go down a food route.
Mm.
So if you had to replace your left hand with an item of food that you could eat, and then when you went to sleep, it grew back
Oh,
every single day for the rest of your life, what would that item of food be?
oh, that's so tough because I eat everything and anything. But you know what? I would probably go seafood. I could never
Yeah.
get bored of or sushi or something. Yeah, but to be honest, I wouldn't be fast. I eat everything and anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be quite easy.
Cool, great stuff. The only thing with seafood, would you not get annoyed with the smell after a little while?
Yeah, you probably don't want to be sleeping with that, do you? That might get a bit of a
Not during
stench
the day, it's fine.
regenerating.
It'll just grow back overnight. But
Yeah.
yeah, but we'll stick with seafood. So your left hand's going to
Yeah.
be a shrimp from now on, mate. That's where
I'm happy
we're
with
at.
that. Yep. Big old tiger prawns when I wake up. I'm happy. Yeah.
Love it, mate. Great stuff, man. But yeah, obviously, so there's a lot going on in Pompey at the minute. And you're quite passionate about it, fairly vocal about it, which is
Yep.
which is awesome, mate. So we are Pompey 2029. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so we are Pompey 2029. It is our City of Culture bid. That is the campaign name. We are we are long listed at the moment with 8 other cities, and we will get shortlisted on October, and then January we will win. So that's basically the process. And the whole reason why UK City of Culture sort of came about is because there are areas within the UK which need improvement, need some investment, need some money put in. And Portsmouth is an incredible place. You know, I'm very proud to be Portsmouth born and bred, but there are areas which do need improvement. You know, the lack of job opportunities for young people, that's up and down the country. But we're based in Gunwharf Quays, and obviously you've got a lot of wealth in this area, a lot of wealth in Old Portsmouth. But if you just set 5 minutes down the road into Portsea, you got third or fourth generation of families who either don't work, can't work, or have such a low level of reading. For example, literacy is in the top 10% of the worst levels in the country. That's here. And that makes it really difficult for younger people to sort of aspire to do even better or to do different things, because you are, basing your life on the surroundings which you live in. And sometimes people can't do anything about it. So the whole point of this UK City Culture bid is to showcase why Portsmouth is such a great place to be, but also to improve those job prospects for younger people, to showcase that civic pride within the city, to boost tourism levels. We get 10 million tourists in Portsmouth per year. That can quadruple if we win this. So more opportunities, more money pumped into the local economy here, and really make people proud of our city.
Yeah, awesome, mate. That's great. And with regards to winning it, is there a financial gain to winning it as well?
Yeah, so there's a prize pot of £10 million.
Cool.
Now the last winner's Bradford. Now this is the highest amount of money which has ever been awarded, £10 million. But over the last few years, what they've noticed is even if the prize money, and I don't know how much Bradford were given, but they've looked at their social value in terms of what actually came in, and they estimate it's over 200 million in terms of what actually has been pumped back in. So it's a bit of investment which is put into the city, but it's also what comes out of it. Portsmouth is full of small independent businesses, Hospitality is, it's big here. Construction is big here. The dockyard obviously has so much going on, but there's only so much people can do. Sometimes there needs to be a little bit more support in order for them to thrive. I said about hospitality businesses, there's so many here. We have the most pubs per square mile outside of London. However, the problem we've got here is they rotate a lot. They don't tend to survive. And now hospitality is really struggling with the rise of wages, employer contributions, pension contribution, national insurance. All these things are rising in an industry where the margins were always so small. Even when I worked in hospitality, I left 5 years ago. It was tough then, and now it's even harder now. So we need that little bit more support. We need more investment, and we need to make Portsmouth the greatest city in the UK and make sure everyone in the UK knows that this is the place to be.
Yeah, awesome, mate. That's great. And when people hear the culture, so in the City of Culture bit, when they hear culture, I think a lot of people, when they hear about the award, will associate that with art studios and music and events and stuff like that. What does culture mean to you, and what does culture mean to Pompey outside of those things?
Yeah, really, really good question. So culture is whatever you want it to be, whatever you feel it to be. And having worked in hospitality, having worked in theatre as well, there's a lot of people who will think of culture and they'll think ballet, classical music.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that. Pub culture, like I said, most pubs per square mile in the UK, that is a culture in itself. The football club, that is a culture. People consider that a religion. There are so many different things. Going for a walk along the beach, going swimming on New Year's Day down Southsea, Victoria's Festival, food festivals, all of these things contribute to culture. So culture can be whatever you want it to be. It can be religion, it can be food, it can be pubs, it can be football, it can be sport. Anything can be culture. And it's whatever makes you feel either happy or have that sort of pride in whatever you're doing. So it can be absolutely anything. It doesn't need to be the classic culture, which is ballet and opera. That's not what it has to be. To some people it is. Yeah. But we are Pompey. That's not what it is for 90% of the people here.
Awesome, mate. Yeah, great answer. Because I've been like that in the past when I've seen like certain places in the country winning it. I'm like, they don't seem very artsy fartsy up there, because that's just what I put with it. But that's a great answer, I think, mate. It's whatever you want it to be. And as you say, if your culture is pub culture and your community is that, or it's going to the football, that's fantastic, mate. So anyone can feel part of the bid and also feel part of Pompey. And what who do you think doesn't feel part of Pompey at the minute? Is there specific sort of demographics of people that are struggling to feel part of any culture at the minute down there?
I think there's a lot of people, and I don't mean just Portsmouth. I think there's a lot of people in the UK, particularly, who are just angry at the wrong people. And we've had some backlash on the back of our campaign, and I know others have. We've had stuff like "What do you mean culture?" It's being taken over. We're getting all these sort of political elements being put in. We had a cultural festival which was put on a couple of weeks ago in Victoria Park. Beautiful event. You had over 67 different nationalities all having stalls at this event. It was to celebrate Portsmouth 100 years of our great city being an official city, and we got hate online from it, and it's horrible to see. But unfortunately, you see people from a lack of education, but also frustration. There are people out there who believe that people are coming here to steal their jobs. There is, unfortunately, that element, but that isn't a Portsmouth thing. It's not specifically for us. That is a UK sort of issue at the moment. And I think for us, actually, it's using it as a vehicle to educate people, going, actually, this is what it means. This isn't whatever you're seeing on, social media or in the news is not necessarily true. What certain politicians are pushing, again, not true. Portsmouth is a naval city. It's been a port for over 800 years, thousands of years, in fact, but it's been Portsmouth for 800 years. We have always had diversity within this city. It's not brand new. And unfortunately, some people look at this city culture bid as something of, oh, they're taking over again. No, that's not what it's about. It's about celebrating everyone in the city, no matter where you're from, whether you're born and bred here or whether you've decided to move to Portsmouth and make a life.
Yeah, cracking, mate. And how do we? I'll get onto sort of Britain as a wider perspective on that front in a minute. But how do we get these 67 nationalities that were at that event? How do we, as a wider country, how do we get these different nationalities, different demographics, different religions integrate with each other more? Is it just events like that? Because I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I don't spend any of my time anywhere where I'm not surrounded by basically white blokes, and that
Mm.
whether that's the pub, the football, at home, anywhere else. I don't really see anyone else bar that, bar English people. So what can we do to? Because we speak about education, but I don't know how we can do that without going to a mosque or going to a
Yeah.
Jamaican food festival. Do you know what I mean? How can we attack that?
I think it is a little bit of that, but I also think sometimes it's going outside of your comfort zone. And unfortunately, there's some groups within even the city here that I've spoken to. They feel unsafe going to certain events or speaking about certain things. You know, that cultural festival that I spoke about, we did have some people infiltrate from the right wing. You know,
What?
that alone will make those people think, I wish I didn't bother. But at the
Yeah,
same time, there was 50 other thousand people there who were celebrating it. But again, those sort of issues can make them think, actually, we're sort of proud of what we do, but we want to keep it quite small and in a
yeah,
knitted community. So there's a bit of elements from both. You know, having grown up in Portsmouth, when I was at school, we had a couple of Nigerian, we had Chinese, we had Indian, and then as we got to sort of college years, there was more Polish, Romanian, sort of Eastern European. And unless you're working with those people or speak to those people, you don't realize just how much you have in common until you actually speak to somebody. You know,
yeah,
and it's not just looking at someone and going, well, they're a different color or they're different nationality, so they don't understand what I'm going through. They do. You know, people all have common interests. If you look around Fratton Park, you know, it is predominantly white people, yes, but they're all from different religions. Some don't have a religion. Look at the pitch. Like, you know, count how many players are white on the pitch.
yeah,
And there is a lack of education and just thinking. Sometimes it is a bit of common sense to go out there, do something a little bit different. And you don't have to go visit a mosque or you don't have to go visit synagogue. Sometimes it's just walking around the city and just saying hello to people. Sometimes it's
yeah,
going to networking events and inquiring, not being too scared to ask. You know, I've learned a lot about different religions more in adult life than I did at school. You know, at school, all we did was sort of learn about Catholics and Christians because, you know, I went to Catholic school. So, and that is my religion. I didn't really know much about any other religion. My sister moved to Dubai 3 years ago. So I'm finding a lot about their culture through her. We have an office in Dubai, so I'm finding out about culture through that way. And sometimes it's just being around different surroundings and having those people in your life and learning things. And sometimes it's quite good to have that little bit of ignorance because then you get
yeah.
educated and you learn more and more.
Yeah, awesome, mate. That's brilliant. That's a great answer. Do you think there is a little bit of that fear of even asking about someone's religion or background that just the words seem racist these days? Do you think there's a bit of fear around that?
Probably. But I think if you ask most people, they'd rather you ask questions. You know, they'd
Yeah,
rather be like, oh, actually, you know, why do you choose to do that? Why do you have to pray at these times? And you know, once you find those answers out, it's not, oh, they're praying, so it means they're bunking off. Well, no,
yeah,
what was the difference when people used to go for cigarette breaks every 5 minutes? You know, what
100.
no one complained then, did they? So it's just learning why you're doing certain things, and that is that little bit of education. When you go on holiday, you know, people will try to venture out and go explore different areas. It's the same here. You can still do that here.
Yeah, that's a great shot, mate. It is a great shot. Like you say, yeah, if you do go on holiday, so you're happy to go excursions to learn about the history of the place then. So just do it while you're here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely brilliant, mate. And so going back to wider Britain as well, then not just Pompey, with the connectivity piece as well. Do you think the more we get into technology, the less we could get connected as people?
I think probably COVID did that, to be honest. And yeah, I know working from home obviously has become quite a large thing since COVID. You know, we operate on the basis of 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. So I think that flexibility is good, but I think the social element is particularly important. I think that, you know, people sort of our age, we know what it's like to socialize. We went to school, went to college, go get drunk when you're 17, 16. That happened. But
Yeah,
now most Gen Z don't drink. So
yeah,
that culture is changing as well. So it's not just a social element, but actually even the drinking culture is sort of shifting as well. You know, nightclubs, we don't really have any nightclubs in Pompey anymore.
no,
So that is changing. But I think within schools and within university, you know, university really is the way when, even if you are a little bit introverted, if you move and you are going somewhere for university, you have to integrate with other people. You're going to be
yeah.
living with other people as well. So learning about them and who they are, you have to be able to communicate. So I think sometimes being out of your comfort zone in situations like that is a good thing because you're forcing yourself to talk to people. Networking events, you know, I meet so many people who are prolific on LinkedIn, shit themselves when it comes to a networking event. They don't know how to speak to someone. They don't know what to say, and it's just throwing business cards at people. It's like, no, it's just, it's no different to being in the playground at school and just talking to people. It's exactly the same situation. So I think there probably is that element. We're all scrolling and doing stuff, but sometimes it's just speak to people. It's make it that simple. And I think probably for younger people, it's going to be very different as well with the social media ban coming in next year. They're used to communicating on Instagram or on Facebook or on Snapchat or TikTok, whereas now it's going to be, well, you're going to have to pick up the phone and ring them now, aren't you? Or text them, which they don't do. So it's going to be completely different. But everyone's happy to send voice notes, right? So what is the difference?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. No, I think there's an element of people having like 10 minutes to think about their response, which I've never understood anyway. I'm happy to just respond live and just hope for the best. But I think there might be an element of that to voice notes where they can just sit and think for a little minute, which probably helps some relationships. But I say the human nature connectivity piece, I think we definitely need to start talking more, definitely. 100%, mate. Earlier on in the chat, you said people can live 5 minutes apart and go from wealth to fourth generation of basic poverty. Not just on an economical standpoint, but bringing that community back together and that connectivity. How does that happen in itself, and how does it happen more with you guys winning the bid in 2029?
I think it's probably through what the campaign's done so far. So not myself personally, but the We Are Pompey team have consulted over 12,000 residents within the city. Now, I know that sounds quite small, and we are a population of 200,000 in Portsmouth, but they've integrated with different areas of the city. And one of the things that even I'm guilty of, and I'll admit it, is we showcase Southsea quite a lot, because all the things that tend to happen to be in Southsea. Victorious is in Southsea, the food festival's in Southsea, the glorious seafront, Southsea. So a lot of that does happen. However, what they've done with the consultation is go to different areas. So it's not a bid for Southsea. It is for North End, Fratton, Milton, Hillsey, Cosham, all these areas. And it's going to those community centres, it's going to those libraries, it's going to those schools, it's going to businesses which are based in these areas, and almost infiltrating them and saying, look, this is what we're trying to do. I know it sounds like a big scary thing, city of culture, and you think you're going to be excluded, but actually this is a win-win for everyone in the city. Every business, every charity, every community centre will benefit from this. And, the younger people in all the areas will benefit from this. So what they've done as a team is, open those conversations per sectors. So they've gone to educational sectors, volunteers. So I'm part of one of the volunteer steering groups. They've spoken to religious groups as well. They've spoken to businesses within different areas. So there's no sort of north and south divide. It's the whole Portsea Island, not just Southsea, which tends to get all the attention most of the time.
Awesome, mate. Great stuff. So everyone's going to have opportunities that they wouldn't have had beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, the website even still there. So people do want to register an interest or get involved and have their say. It's been open the entire time. So since we started this process a few months ago, we have been encouraging people, get involved. If you think you want to have something or you've got an idea of what you'd like to see as part of the city culture bid, or what you'd like to see later down the line, get in touch with the team, because, we've had 12,000 people already voice opinions, already be part of the consultation. There's no limit. The more people that can get involved and say, this is what we want, brilliant. And I met somebody who had this amazing idea, which I would have never thought about the other day. So we've got the Lion Trail going on around the city, which is amazing. Kids who, if you said, let's go and look at some art, they would just stare at you and go back on their phone, wouldn't they? Whereas this has engaged kids and families all over the city, going around, touring areas of the city which they wouldn't have been to. I went to Port Solent for the first time in like 3 years the other day, just to go look at the Lion. There's people that live in Southsea who don't need to go to Hillsey or North End or Copner because they live in their own bubble here. But this has enabled people to go see areas of the city which they either haven't been to before or haven't visited for a long time. And somebody in one of the consultations said, actually, what would be really good is there's people out there who are not mobile enough to go visit all the lions. And it is around the whole island. And what he said, well, what if there was a way that we could have artwork which goes to them? So when they are getting the bus, and obviously the Prime Minister has announced that for disabled people, bus travel will be completely free 24/7. What if the artwork was on buses? You've got wraps on outside of buses, whether you get on the bus or not. It could be inside the bus or it could be outside the bus. So you don't need to travel. So if you've got those mobility issues, you can find a way to look at those bits. My idea was have this massive We Are Pompey sign, Hollywood style, on Portsdown Hill. and then that way everyone can see it when they're coming into the city or going out. There it is, and it is involving everyone. And that idea with the bus, I would have never thought about. So it's important to have people give you their opinions and say, actually, this is something we struggle with. We can't always come down to Southsea because, it's too far. We live in Buckland or we live in Hilsey. Is there something we can do in Hilsey? We've got a bit of a Victorious Festival going on there. We used to obviously have Mutiny Festival. We used to have the IBM fireworks, all that has sort of stopped. Is there something we could do north of the city again? Is there some things we can do so the north doesn't feel like they always have to come to the south? So a lot of those consultations come in. There's a lot of people saying, well, we don't know what's going on or when it's going on. Portsmouth 100 has sort of helped because a lot of people are now going to the Portsmouth 100 website and looking what events are on. And we're quite lucky here. There's a lot of free events to go to as well. However, the first thing that people say is, I didn't know what's going on until obviously it's gone. So is there something we can do when each ward or each community centre or each library, we put a notice board, a digital notice board, which every event comes up? Is there a way we can do that in bus stops? Is there a way we can put more billboards in areas so they can always see what's going on in the city? And it's all of those things which you only know about until you speak to people and you get more ideas.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, because I don't see myself as a selfish kind of person, but I'm definitely a human being. I think a lot of us are that what I think and do is what I think that's what happens for the rest of the world. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see that other people would have those issues. So if I want to go somewhere and go see something, I can go see it. But from a financial point of view, or just from a travelling point of view, maybe even your age or disability, it just brings that in. That's awesome, mate. Great show. And look, I know you're going to win it, but say the worst happens and you don't win it. What should remain from what is happening at the minute? Because the buzz around not just your profile, but what I've done and looked into, the buzz around the city and the community is bringing together, saying, "God, this is actually a shit hot place to live." What if you don't win? What should remain? What's the main thing that should stick around?
First of all, I am 100% certain we'll win. So I don't think there will be a loss. If that did happen, which it won't, I just think the amount of pride that we've got now and the amount of people that are sort of shouting about how proud they are is more than it's ever been. And Portsmouth 100 has helped in that element. That has generated all these events going on. But the thing that we've got, which no other city has, is all the events that have been going on this year. They would have happened anyway without the City of Culture bid. The other cities and the other towns which are on this bid have put specific events on. We've not had to do that because we've got all these things going on all the time. None of them are just staged. None of them are put on just for this year. None of them are put on just because we're doing City Culture. They happen all the time. They're always going on. So for me, it's just keeping that going, getting people proud of the city again. And again, if we don't do it now, we might not ever do it. But this can really set us apart for the next 100 years. So when it's Portsmouth 200, they will look at this moment and go, when we won this in 2026 and we got 2029, this is what the impact had. This is what it had on the city. And I think that's the part where people need to realize this is massive. This could actually transform the city and improve the lives of everyone here.
Awesome, mate. That's absolutely brilliant. And then, so when you do win, then, because it's obviously inevitability, when you do win, in 10 years, what does Terence look back on and go, "Hey, I'm glad to be a part of that because of," what's the top thing that you'll look back on and go, "That's what I'm happy I was involved with it for"?
To be honest, I'm just very honoured to be involved. That's honestly the way I look at it. But also to be able to just walk down the street and see that, it'd be great not to have homeless people on Albert Road or Commercial Road. It'd be great not to have boarded up shops. And I know that is an issue up and down the UK, but it'd be nice to walk around going, I've helped, a small part of me has helped contribute to those improvements that we've made. Or when I do careers talks in schools, seeing those kids proud to be from Portsmouth because of what we've achieved. So for me, it's just an honour to be involved and to be shouting about the city.
Legend, mate. Love that. And bar the football club, what's the best thing about Pompey?
Oh, you know what? I think if you're a Portsmouth supporter, you've seen it all. You've seen all the ups and downs. There aren't many clubs around who win the FA Cup and then 24 hours later go in administration. But for me, and the thing that I've always said about this city is we do have an iron mentality. We will stick up for our own. And if you harm us, then, we're coming for you. The football club was saved by the fans of the football club. It should be extinct by any other theory. Teams like Bury, Wimbledon, gone. They were Bolton almost gone a few years ago. The people of this city saved the football club, the same as the people of this city saved the King's Theatre in 2001 from being turned into a Wetherspoons pub. It's the people in this city who have the fight and the reason why we have all these amazing things going. So the football club will forever be going on. Fingers crossed we make it in the Premier League. I'm very fortunate that, I was a kid when we were in the Premier League, so I remember that, but a lot of fans don't. So yeah, it's a roller coaster being a Pompey fan.
Yeah, 100%. Mate. What's the plans for the season for the football club then? Is it steady the ship or what?
Well, I was meeting a lot of people and speaking to a lot of people before the first game of the season. Like, oh yeah, promotion, mate. Yeah, 100%. And I was like, no, I'd be happy with 10th. I'd be happy with 10th. Slow and steady. But yeah, who knows? I think it's one of those. I think the Championship's one of those leagues where it only takes 5 or 6 games that run, and suddenly you go from there or you go down there. We saw what happened to Southampton last year. You can go from being here all the way up here, then you get caught cheating, and then things change, don't they? And they lost their first game of the season as well, so they're rightfully bottom of the league where they should be.
Cracking stuff, man. Cracking stuff, mate. Right, well, we'll wrap things up. There's always a Got a Sec ending. We've got a Got a Sec playlist, and I need you to pick a song to go on it, mate. So, yeah, what's your song going to be that's going on the playlist? What are you leaving us with today?
Oh, what song? I'll tell you what, I think we go with Kasabian, greatest of all time, because that is the season. Obviously, the Premier League will start this week, and also we've got Kasabian at Victorious next Sunday.
Oh, really sweet. Are they headlining? Yeah,
they're headlining on the Sunday. Yeah, they were here 2 years ago. They were on the Friday, but this year they're going to be the closing act.
Mate, awesome, man. That's great stuff. Cool. Well, I'll check it out. And anyone listening or watching, make sure you do as well. But mate, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. I really appreciate you coming on. I'll obviously keep in touch and keep engaged with your content and stuff. But best of luck with everything, mate. I know you're going to win anyway, so you don't need my luck. But yeah, I appreciate your time and your insight, mate.
No, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure taking part.
Catch you soon, mate. All the best, man.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.